Hi there, I'm Diane Callahan. I am the managing editor for Story Garden Publishing alongside our creative director, Jordan Riley Swan. And we're here to do a world building exercise, which is based on a workshop that we've taught a couple of times now. And it also ties into my video on world building, which is adapted from that. So this is basically an interactive exercise where we take the three.
Wait. Interactive?
Well,
I have to
interactive.
participate?
You're the interaction.
I'm the interaction?
Yes, this is
Okay,
the
I was
thing.
tricked into I thought I was just going to stand here. But
It's gonna Vanna White your way through the whole video.
that's what I
Anyway,
thought. Okay.
but yes, so we're gonna get to do the three elements. We're gonna come up with just a story idea on the fly, just like a concept. So nothing that we've done before. We've done zero preparation for this. It will show.
It will show.
But we've done this like a few times in other iterations.
I can't believe you're already lying already. We did preparation for this. The drive over here to the office. That was the extent
We
of our...
didn't do proper. Well, we did preparation. We know the structure of it. So we're going to do 2 rounds of it. So first we're going to do one that starts with setting, then the distinctive element, and then our character conflict. So we're going to do one through that way as fantasy, a fantasy concept. And then we're going to do a second story concept in the reverse and do character conflict, the distinctive element, and then setting. And so trying to build a world based on first this larger setting concept, what kind of character fits into that, and then the reverse, if you start with your character and put them in a world. And so that second one will be sci-fi, so we'll have fantasy and a sci-fi concept. We were like, we're going to start with fantasy because for some reason we're not as good at plotting sci-fi things, even though both of us really enjoy sci-fi.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I haven't written sci-fi in quite a while, so it is a little more challenging. But yeah, we'll see how we fare in this. But yeah, and I have all my questions here that are, I'll also link to the Google Doc so you can download these as well if you don't feel like going and watching the video on my Quotidian Writer channel. But that way you can have access to all the same fun exercise. So yeah, you ready?
All right.
Okay. Okay, so first we're going to start with setting in our fantasy world. So where is the story taking place and why does it matter? And so I have 4 questions that we're going to go through.
Oh.
Each question gets its own note card. And yeah, so our first one.
Are we color coding them? And these all going to be setting? And
Yes,
these
exactly. So yeah,
red?
so our 4, you'll have 4 here. I think this one has 3 and then this one has 4.
Okay.
So we have a note card for each. So the first question for us is how does the geography influence the culture? So we're starting with setting.
Okay.
What do we want our larger setting to be?
To our larger setting to be. So are we talking like, this is setting place in a mountain range? Or are we talking about the world itself? Or what are we talking about when we say the larger setting?
I think thinking about like geography specifically, like so if it's in a mountainous environment or like a desert or an island, things like that. So I think, and it can be in a fantastical world where, everything is like one giant like supercontinent. So there's a lot of different options for it. But yeah, when you think of the setting, are you like, because I know we've done kind of stories before in mountainous environments. We've done an island.
Mountainous, we've done an island.
Okay, so what's one that we haven't done before?
Well, I don't think we've done desert. We haven't done swamp. We haven't done like a major city in any of the fantasy stories.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Any
is
of those
major city? I mean,
major city.
yeah,
Okay, so a major city.
fantasy.
All right.
So that kind of makes it urban fantasy by thing. So, but then we have to say, like, how does the geography influence the culture? So when we're thinking of the city. Okay.
Well, most cities are usually put on trade routes, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's because of a railroad or whether it's because of, well, back in the day it was rivers, right?
Yes.
Rivers were a major part of the
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
we're going to put it on a river,
Yes.
okay? And then let's go Tale of Two Cities style. The river plunges the cities in half.
Yes. Okay.
And one of the cities is let me think, much more abutted to more farmland, and then the other one might be more closer to the ocean, so it is more of the actual shipping part of the city.
Yes. Okay. And I think we can have some pretty obvious class divides from that, like, because usually like farming is associated with lower class, and then people in the shipping industry, they tend to be wealthier. So I think that you might have a bit of that.
She says it's associated with lower class, but everybody knows farmers are the heart of the world.
Yes.
Plus, we're sort of book farmers, so.
Yes, we are. Okay, so we have farm. We have some more Riverside, we would think about the technicalities of that later. We were like, okay, well, how does the farmland become fertile, stuff like that. Like those things are stuff I have to do a
Mm.
lot of research into before they become accurate.
Well, one of the easiest ways is if the river was constantly overflow,
Mhm.
it's like in a bend in the river. It was always the silt was always washing that direction for so many years and
Yeah,
years and years that
yeah.
became the farmland.
That's your classic Fertile Crescent kind of
Oh,
situation.
Fertile
Yes,
Crescent.
Fertile
I like a
Crescent.
good croissant.
Oh my God. Okay. It's gonna be a long video.
This is gonna be a long video for her.
Okay. So the second question is, what's the
Okay.
level of technological advancement? So we have two cities,
Uh,
and we're doing fantasy.
uh,
So, but then like, is it kind of gonna be, we're thinking cities. Is it gonna be industrial fantasy, steampunk-esque kind of fantasy, or more like post-industrial, or are they, yeah?
mm, okay.
So what would
I
you
don't
go?
know what.
Well, so I guess if there's rivers, they've obviously developed like ways to traverse that, and if there's farming and irrigation, so they have those systems. So what kind of other technology might develop alongside those things?
Like, okay. What kind of other technology would develop alongside those? This is before we dealing with any magic or anything, right?
Yeah, but I think you could kind of integrate those together. So if you
Okay.
think of something with like tech and magic together, that
Okay.
totally works.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, my instincts are I've never done steampunk,
yeah,
so I'd like to maybe set this up some kind of like steampunkish level.
yeah.
Um, and it's so what would that technology level be called?
Yes, yes. Steampunk. So, well, I think it's like I think maybe thinking of it in terms of okay, yeah, steampunk. I think that's industrial, and I think that if we're thinking about like do trains exist? Like you have to think about what exists. So, like
Okay.
in terms of weaponry, in terms
Well,
of transportation.
steam train,
Okay,
steamboat.
okay,
The words at least match.
I do.
So steam
Okay,
technology.
yeah, yeah,
The twist I would probably put into it is whatever the fuel source is. I would make some kind of the fuel source that
hmm,
creates the steam. It doesn't. The
yes,
fuel isn't the steam itself. But some kind of heated what have you.
yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah,
But
this.
you would want for a river divided two cities, and if it's a major shipping hub, you are going to want the trains running heavily on one side. Or maybe the farm side isn't your traditional farm side. Maybe it is more swampish or more boggish, so they can't run the trains properly that direction. Everything has to come off on the one, and that's why that side of the city is much more
Hmm.
driven for the shipping, and the other side's more agricultural
Yeah.
or even fishing based or something.
Yes, yes. The country and the city. Yeah, that makes sense. I
Mm.
like that. And I mean, I think um the steampunk fantasy combination works very well. And I think the idea of using something else to power steampunk technology works well too. Although it's very common. So once we get to our distinct development, that's how we'll be able to differentiate
Okay.
the story beyond that. But okay, we're gonna say that for the technological advancement, and then now we're gonna think about the level of magic,
Okay.
because that will help us think about
And
yeah.
level of magic still we're still in setting for level of magic.
Yes, we are. So we're
Okay.
thinking about is it hard fantasy, is it soft fantasy,
Mm.
vice versa. Like so like is it a very like scientific magic system?
Mm.
I'm kind of leaning towards that because it
Well,
is.
you're a fan of, if you didn't know, Diane's a fan of harder fantasy, and not harder fantasy in that way, but harder fantasy as in it has more rules and structures.
I don't
I
know.
don't have it hanging anymore, but the one of the trilogy she has created has very specific rules for it.
Mhm.
So I see that your mind would automatically kick towards that.
That's true.
And then
Well,
I'm a plotter,
yeah.
and being a plotter, I
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
know what things are going to do.
Mhm.
So I'm probably going to end up writing better on a hard fantasy.
That's interesting because I tend to I prefer to read soft fantasy, like so
Oh,
I soft magic systems. Yeah, I much prefer them, but like I think that Witch Hunter ended up with a hard magic system just because like I got tired of answering reader questions. Well, what if this happened? I'm like, no, okay, here's your constraints and your rules, so that I don't have to hear about it. But it does make it easier sometimes with hard magic because you're
mm.
working within those limitations. To the extent that like you can't just pull whatever like into it and just make it work.
Well, I mean, maybe they can.
Yes, they can. And I mean, yeah, and I think that like if we're using it to power technology, there has to be something known about the magic. So I
Okay.
think that's what's making me think of hard magic because it's like, I mean, I think there could be things even in a hard magic system. There can be things that people don't entirely know how they work. Like, I mean, and you also think of that the common person might not know. Like, if you told me to build a phone or a car, I'd be like, like I don't know how that works.
That actually brings up something. There's an interesting not a treaty or treatise, whatever. There's an interesting thing I read the other day where no one man can make a mouse. And they meant, of course, they don't mean squeak squeak mouse. They meant a computer mouse, obviously. But I'm like, no, I could probably build a mouse. But then they meant, well, who drilled the oil?
Yes.
Who did created this and who programmed it and with electricity? No one man could create a mouse. And I
Yes.
thought, okay, that's interesting. It does take a society to do it.
Mhm.
And that attached itself a little bit with magic in my mind too. Maybe I agree, hard magic.
Yeah.
The point I'm getting around to is I like hard magic, so I would have leaned towards hard magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So what do we have to now create that or
well, I guess like not if we we could go with hard magic. We don't have to create it in like super detail,
detail?
but I think like we got to think of what the magic kind of the main magic system is. Like one of the things, so if we're using for fuel, that means that there aren't really other fuel sources available, or there's some advantage to it, like it's like really cheap, right? Or it's like it's easy for them to get. My mind went a bit dark of like, extracting it from people and just having like this class of people that they use to like fuel stuff
Well, if this
through magic.
place had been overrun by demons and mephits and imps and stuff, these are all caught little impy creatures that are steam mephits and fire mephits and all these little
Yeah,
fiery little demons that they've caught.
yeah, we're recreating Bartimaeus trilogy, which is what I
What
named
is that?
it. Jonathan Stroud, like did
Oh.
you read the first one?
I did, yes.
Yeah. Amulet and Samarkand. Yeah. So that's where they employ
Never
demons
mind
to
if we
do things.
can't do something somebody else has
Wait,
done.
well, I think I want to do human characters.
Human
because I'm
characters?
so
'Cause you're mean?
biased towards that. I know. Well, I guess because I'm mean.
She's exploited.
Because I'm making enslavement part of our fantasy world building. It's a part of human history.
It's not just a part; it's a major part.
Yes.
Okay.
Backbone of civilization. Yeah.
Are we thinking? Okay, so it's extracted from humans somehow.
Yeah. So and then that would be like we'd probably have some sort of caste, like the social system as a result, which is maybe partially based on the geography because of that division and like so that could work.
All right. Well,
Yeah, so I mean, because that gives us also a natural underdog position if we wanted. If we have like somebody that's the main character or somebody around them is somebody who's being extracted from or is expected to be part of that world, and then they, they resist. So this becomes like a little bit of a dystopian, as often happens.
as often happens.
But I think that there's something to that. So like so.
Magic harvested from.
From like I guess I should say like lower social class. Wow. Okay, I'm sorry, my handwriting is becoming abysmal. But that's
They're not
okay.
gonna be able to see it it'll be so small on the screen unless you're sitting in your living room right now on the big screen TV. In which case, I apologize for how I look. I apologize how she looks too.
You should. I know. Okay. Okay. So we have
So
one more.
hard magic system, something that's harvested from a lower social caste.
Mhm.
Steampunkish, a river divided by two cities. So these are three of our four setting aspects.
Yeah.
Okay, and what is the fourth?
Yeah. So the fourth is what's a specific place that will be featured and key scene. So we can just think of like a scene level setting that would work well in this environment. So we're thinking, and I think maybe we could think of one on both sides of the river. So like in our country setting versus our city setting, like what are some specific places, like buildings or
There's a
natural
train, a steamboat, since we've already talked about those.
Yeah.
The harvesting location, the prison that keeps the people of the lower caste. Maybe one of the things with when you're getting magically harvested, it's a situation where there's a celebration and you're brought to a specific place for a celebration, and it's you're going to end up harvested.
Yeah.
And you just don't know that part. However, our hero has figured that part out and doesn't want to go to the celebration.
So that's very like early 2000s.
Well, I am older than you, so.
Yeah, I mean, because there's like this series called Unwind. They do like it's like more organ harvesting.
Okay, I'm gonna
What?
time us out for a second.
Okay.
I'm gonna time us out for a second.
Yes.
What did you say on the trip here about ideas?
I said there are no original ideas.
There are no original ideas, and that's one of the things I do wanted to talk about while we're building this. Is do not be afraid and do not be embarrassed if you can't think of anything original.
Yeah.
Oh, so many major authors will tell you this is the idea of X plus X, and became popular. There's there's an anecdote about Jim Butcher, right, who did he did the Dresden Files, right? That was
Yes.
anyways. There's an anecdote about Jim Butcher that Brandon Sanderson has reiterated is a fact. Is he was challenged to create a story about Pokemon and the Roman lost legions, and that's how he created an entire very famous story, which the series escapes my brain right now. But he did it. One, I love the fact that it was a challenge, so he did it out of spite, and two, I like that it was successful. But three, it does prove that you can mix and match things. You're going to repeat other ones. There are no new ideas under the sun. Get comfortable with that.
Yes.
And you can not excuse yourself for it, but you don't have to apologize for replicating something someone else's. Just don't rip them off.
Yes, yes, and I think that it's normal to play like homage to other things. Like I think we see that all the time in music. Like songs are you're sampling from other songs, and like you're kind of respecting the things that you love or that you admire by reusing them as obvious influences. Like you're not trying to do a beat by beat thing, but you're trying to do something similar with your own spin on it. And yeah, and I also think that there's always new audiences, and that's part of it too. Like something
Right.
that's something that was like, oh well, this has already been written back in the 80s, and you're like, yeah, but it's 20 whatever now. We're like 40, 50 years out of
So
that.
it's been 20 years later. I could do the thing I just talked about. You said it was much 2000.
Yeah.
Okay, no, all right. Let's. Okay,
Bring
okay.
it back.
We're not bringing it back.
We're bringing it back. Oh, well, okay, and also I want to think of something
Secret
different.
fishing spot on the river.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of the country, the countryside. Well, and also I don't know if I want to do. I don't know if I don't really want to do this farmstead because I feel like the fantasy farm thing has been, although that's kind of a way to show the steampunk farming practices. So
That's true too, which is
let's-
something because steampunks does tend to what little I know about it tends to be major metropolis, and it's all about that noir kind of Victorian feel.
yeah.
If it's the farmer version of it, seeing what it's like, life is like on the outskirts of one of the cities, that could be interesting.
Yeah, it could be interesting. And I think that like, so in Star Wars it's like a moisture farm or whatever. But then like
Don't you dare attack Star Wars.
moisture? No, but I'm just trying
Moisture.
to think of something specific.
Yeah, because
so
the
like
fans love to hear the word moist.
moisture. But like it's like a
Somebody clip that.
no.
Clip that exact thing. I think that's memeable right there. Moist.
But no, but okay, what if it's like a dairy farm, a specific type of farm? Like how people have like a cranberry bog or something.
Okay.
Like so maybe something specific. Like
Cranberry Baron?
cranberry baron. I don't know. Well, yeah, let's think of something like fantastical
Okay,
that they would have as like that they would be harvesters for. So like a
Ah.
fantastical thing, like I think of them in the well, I guess maybe you never actually published this story, but like so this is in Jot in the Iron Coat. I don't think you put this anywhere else, but the beetles that like eat
Yeah,
things.
they are in. Well, it's not here. We have a Dragon Coat Chronicles series, which is set in the 1920s, alternative history 1920s, with dragon riders. And one of the biggest threats is something that I was inspired by Naomi Novik talking, and she did a seminar at a Dragon Con where she talked about the fact sometimes you have to kind of wave away the fact that a top of the line predator is going to require 10 times its weight in food. And so when I was creating this dragon riding story, I thought, well, what is their food source? And the food source became these things called Jocust beetles. And then it went from food source to very, very quickly a threat. Because if it's good enough to feed thousands of dragons, then what kind of swarm and how big are these things, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a sample of world building that sort of made itself go along the lines.
Yeah.
So Jocust beetles, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of something like that's like world specific. So if they're harvesting some kind of like crop that is specific to this world. And we don't have to think of it right now. I just wanted
Okay,
to
we're
but I'll be like special crop
special crop
farm.
So
special crop farm.
we're talking about. That's the minor location. That's the scene location.
Yeah, so we have quite a few. We have the the harvesting location, the prison, the boat, the train, the secret fishing spot on the river, the special crop farm.
And you discussed this in your primary video of the difference between a scene location and the.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, because you can't have any story that's like doesn't have a scene level location.
Oh, and
really,
by the way, welcome from her channel.
Yes, yeah. If you're watching here, I know I'm a real person sometimes.
Sometimes,
yeah, occasionally.
real pain in the. Okay.
Okay, so we have our distinctive element. Now we're done with that. That's actually a very long part of this. Okay, the distinctive element is what stands out about this world. So the first question is like, what are you passionate about? what world building or what do you never get tired of researching? That's what it is.
Okay, never get tired of research. What
Yes.
world building element could that would be distinctive to this world, or that I'm a little confused.
Yes, yes, exactly. So like we're thinking about like we want one of the things that we've already kind of hinted at or established in the
Okay.
setting to become like to bring it out as a distinct element, or if we might not have
Mm.
mentioned it yet, and it's something that we can really dive deep into. So like if you're very big into prison reform, maybe for some reason you're gonna like go deeply into that, into the
Okay.
prison system,
Yeah.
into the harvesting kind of process for this, and then thinking about that on a prison
So
industrial complex level.
something I'd be passionate about researching.
Yes, because like if we want to include it in this world, so in my video, we use the example of currency.
Okay.
Patrick Rothfuss has that. Tolkien with languages, with
Languages makes
linguistics.
sense.
Yes, exactly. So and it doesn't have to be like directly related to the setting. Like we don't need to be experts on steam engines or something. But we have other things that kind of it'll add like color and flavor to the world. Like
Hmm.
if you're doing. It could be farming. It could be something really random like butterflies. I don't know and
Hmm.
that could feed into
Well, what would you do in this situation
like what am I like super interested in?
other than books
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
and
like
pickleball?
in pickleball, yeah, pickleball. There'd be pickleball component in the story. But no. So I think I like death and mortality, but that's what I'm doing for my current book. Is
Huh.
sort of like based on like death studies and death anxiety and things like
Okay.
that. So and then I had another story where I had a character who has dyslexia, and so I was doing a lot of research into that. And so I think those were the things I was very interested in. So trying to think of something new.
It's okay. Some
Um,
all right. Let me think if I
yeah.
can think of anything I would be interested in.
Yes.
See, what are my interests? Comic books. My interests
Comics.
are uh, Dungeons and Dragons games, as you can tell by the fantasy.
Uh-huh.
So things like probability would also be because I love dice rolling and I love the idea that there are how things can. There's a movie called Sliding Doors,
Yes.
and it shows the same situation twice when somebody's separated by a sliding door and
Mhm.
how different their life is. So I
Yes.
like that kind of thing
Yes.
where
I love that.
probability plays into it.
Mhm.
So how
Yeah.
would we?
Yeah, probability. That sounds like a lot of math.
It sounds like a lot of math. So you wouldn't like to write it,
I
but
would like
it could be a hard magic. No, though it doesn't feel like that. My problem with it would be it does not feel like that would go hand in hand with the steampunk thing.
yeah, and I mean, probability kind of does because like there's something sciency about it. But I think that this is also this element could be something that our character knows or doesn't, or a world that they end up interacting with,
Mm.
as well. So I'm trying to think of like, okay, so what we're passionate about.
Oh, and by the way, if you see us constantly looking down, there's two reasons. There's a monitor that has this information in front of us, and there's a monitor that has us on the TV here. And both of us are so vain, we have to keep staring at ourselves.
It's true. It's
It's
true.
true. I don't know
Okay.
how educational this is. I'm glad this isn't on your channel.
I know,
This
right?
is not
Yeah,
very
this is kind of
educational at this point.
contemplated there. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm looking around. There's like so much random like paraphernalia in this room, so I'm like looking around for inspiration. Like, please have something.
The
Um,
I'm an antique dealer as well, and what she's talking about, there's multiple antiques around us, and I mean, you never know what there's going to be.
okay.
Lots of talking.
You know a lot about antiques.
I do know a
Well,
lot
about
about
antiques, which is
antiques.
super fun in a
Huh?
steampunk world because you kind of see the past and how it's
Oh.
led to the
You
present.
know what I
Like
also like?
what
Auctioning.
auctioning? Ooh,
So
auctions. Oh,
antiques and auctions.
awesome. I don't know. We should write against slave auctions.
You're the one that said enslavement,
Okay,
but
we'll
no,
say
if just antiques. We'll just do antiques so we don't get canceled
Okay,
on a
but
Friday night.
not on a Friday night. Not on a Friday night. Okay,
On a
let's see.
Friday.
Okay, so our second question is how do you make that element fresh and interesting?
How do we make?
So with antiques, I do think it's like it's so
He has found a
magical.
technology.
Mhm.
He's found a very, very ancient technology that could easily, no, not maybe necessarily easily replace, but could, with some effort,
Yeah.
replace the fact that you have to extract these from these social caste, but the people whose power base is here with the fact that this is how the system works, we cannot get disrupted. Don't want him to don't want that antique thing to be brought back to the surface where it can disrupt their power.
Yeah, and that works for me. And like, yeah, and it's like, yeah, because I think that originally, initially the character might be like, oh my gosh, I can like change the world. I'll go to the city, meet the wizard, and then and we'll introduce it to him. And then he's like, actually, we like this system, and like and there's a reason that this technology doesn't
Okay.
hasn't survived. So
So
I think there is like some of that naivete that comes from like you're like, oh, I want to do good in the world, and then
hmm,
realizing that the system is set up against it.
is yes,
Yes,
just like
we're maybe thematically revisiting this from our previous video for mysterious reasons.
yeah.
Okay, so what does it look like when the distinctive element goes wrong? Um,
Well, that's going to be kind of hard
yeah,
because the distinctive element. Well,
this is the tech that could so if it could replace magic, and then but then what is the downsides to it? Because no tech has all positives, right? Like so you have to think of like what is the downside or the side effect, like other than
well, maybe
yeah.
his first time engaging this antique, ancient technology already disrupts the magic in some way, and
Hmm.
that's what draws the attention to
Okay.
the fact that there is a disruption, and our hero isn't even our hero isn't the person who did the antiques. Our hero is an agent trying to figure out why the hard magic system has been disrupted recently.
Yeah, I think that's also interesting. Like, because if he's on the side of the
The bad guys.
yeah, that's possible. So like we'll jump into that with so this is nice. We're already touching on the character conflict, which is our next category, our red, pink.
Pink.
Yeah, sorry, whatever color this is. Okay, so yeah, so who could be the main character, and then what building element creates conflict for them. So I think that's kind of what you just said.
Mm,
We're gonna go with like them being are they like
okay.
a city agent then?
City agent, city side agent, and if we have a soft romance in it, it's a girl who found a handsome, beautiful farm girl who dug it. Okay, whatever.
Okay, okay, city.
We do a lot of romance out of Story Garden. So this will probably be a hard fantasy then. No
Yeah.
romance.
And I think it's something where,
Mm.
like, I think this character, to make them more sympathetic, since we're not starting with the underdog, like, we think we could have multi POV and have, one of the characters who's going to be extracted so we can kind of show that. But I think that if he's more like, if you think of like the ones who walk away from Omalaz, that short story, so it's basically like the premise is that there's this utopia, but in order to sustain the utopia, there's like one child being abused in like a basement, and then everybody just
The hell
accepts
is the
it.
story?
Yeah, yeah, it's Ursula K. Le Guin. So, but it's a classic story of like the moral dilemma, and so like some people walk away from the city to not be a part of it, but
Huh.
others they stay and they're complicit in it, and so I think that this character is not somebody that doesn't know there's problems because that's kind of maybe obvious, but he's like, well, there's not really any alternative. Like we would just as a society crumble if we didn't do this, which I think is kind of the excuse that
Okay.
a lot of people use for maintaining certain
Sweet.
things. So yeah, so I guess like so that way it makes him not so terrible. Like I think there's certain things that he doesn't want to do or things, but he's obviously I don't know, yeah. So he feels kind of powerless in the system, but this is like what he has to do for whatever reason.
Excellent.
So we'll see. Um
No, well, I mean, we really won't see
Anti-hero
because
character.
we won't be writing this.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, you're welcome to write it, audience.
Yes,
If
anybody's
you
welcome to
wanna
write
pick
it.
it up.
Strip anything out of here you want.
That's the hardest thing, and I think N.K. Jemisin or somebody else said something about how like ideas are a dime a dozen, but it's the execution.
Execution. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is, and I mean like there are.
Which
Yeah.
does bring up one of the things is a lot of the co-authors I work with, they would send a sample of their work, and I would often send them a little outline for a single chapter I would want them to create. And it was the same outline every single time that I would send. And I've gotten multiple authors I've worked with, and some I didn't end up working with. And it was the most interesting thing was everybody's version of that same single chapter was radically different, not just in skill level, but in how they told the story,
Yes.
what theme they pulled out of it, where they leaned into it, how good or bad was the main protagonist. It was very, very fascinating to watch. I was just looking for their pro skill, but I learned something on my own at that point.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that's like, and that's so cool. I think that we might actually be able to share those at some
Yeah, at some point there may be a future video where I go over those,
point.
and then it'll probably be something I'll go over with Diane so that she could see an editor's version of what she sees right and what she sees wrong with these
Yes.
samples.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Okay, so we have our second question for character conflict is what do they want? How is that goal or desire specific to the world? Um,
Okay. Does he
so
not want to see disruption?
Well, I mean,
Does
I
he
guess,
want
I
to?
mean, does he want, like, I guess I think, like,
Hmm.
um, well, I mean, because I could see him wanting like a promotion for some reason,
Okay.
and maybe a promotion that allows him to like protect somebody else. Like if he's caring for his mom, he needs the money, like something to make it like sympathetic. Like the reason that he's engaging in the system is because he needs
Okay.
this or that thing, or like so that's like money as a motivation, but money in terms of like taking care of family member is an option.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Eh,
we're just gonna roll with it. We're like,
We're just gonna roll with it because I've been jabbering on about I've been jabbering on about other things.
okay, okay, okay.
Protect to okay, yeah.
So yeah, so we have very much like
Bam.
an anti-hero.
Promotion to support sick mom
Yes.
because us mama boys will always
Yes.
always do what we have to do to protect our mamas.
Um,
Okay, what's
okay.
next?
So how does the distinctive element play into that want? And then how does the element impact this character in a significant way?
Okay.
So I think when we talked about like, so it's so kind of, I guess we have to think of more personally how it's impacting them. Obviously, the ancient tech is disrupting the magic, and the character is going to investigate. But then the distinctive element of the antiques, like how else, like maybe there's like this whole he goes into the world of underground like antiques that are maybe magic related
Yeah.
tech is
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that's what that's the other thing. Even though we've gotten past this, we would be coming back to this. Okay, now that they're antiques, they're magically related.
yeah.
They've got
Mhm.
something in them that is magical as well. So there's a black market trade in them.
Yes.
Especially there's a black market trade if this can kind of cancel that, the hard magic system. If it disrupts it, you're definitely going to be black marketing these things.
Yeah, and so I think I kind of want our character to go undercover in the black market antiques
Nice.
world, and like that's kind of fun.
Cool.
I'm into that. And then so our last question is it? Yes, it is. Okay,
It
what
is.
does the character need to learn? And what do they change about their world, or how does the world building change them?
Hmm.
And so I don't know, do we have this as a happy ending, a bittersweet ending, a super sad, depressing ending as it seems to be going with my stories?
Yes, that's just your personality, though. It's sad and
I
depressing.
know that's why like he got the shirt just because I was like, to get this one
Yeah,
with the
the
skull,
skulls.
the flowers on it. But okay.
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 So what's the question?
Yeah, what's the character
What's the
arc?
what
Yeah.
is that what this
Character
question
arc. Yeah,
it
yeah,
comes
the
as?
emotional, the
The
character's
emotional
emotional arc.
character arc.
That's
Okay,
really what it's
'cause
about.
I
Yeah.
didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
All right. So the emotional character arc, first and foremost, I guess, is the very question you just asked. Is it a happy ending? Is it a neutral ending? Status quo ending? Is it an upheaval of his life?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm always for the happy ending. Is unfortunately.
Well, I think no, no, no. I think that you do a good job with like bittersweet. I think bittersweet's like because it has to be like earned, right? Because you don't want just like
Right.
a shrink gets happy. Because I mean, I think especially with something that's quasi dystopian, like having a character be able to change the whole world order is very difficult,
Oh
and it's
well,
gonna take you.
if you want to go bittersweet with it,
Mm-hmm.
the only thing keeping sick mama alive is somehow tied into the hard magic system.
That's very
So
good.
if they're going to disrupt this hard magic system, it's going to put his mother at either more sick or kill her, or the people who have her disease or what have you um, will likely suffer when this old antique. Maybe the reason it is an antique is because it caused this kind of problem that his mother's solving. So
Yeah, I think that's
they're
good.
trading one type of
Yes. So
okay.
he has to, so in the end his mom dies and others and others well
What's
and a lot of other
others?
people. So like so in addition to his mom, like there's other people that are infected like affected by this, and then so it's a kind of a utilitarian
Hmm.
approach to it where it's like, okay, well, these people will suffer because of this change the tech.
Uh-huh.
But as a result, we're gonna save these other people. And so it is like a trade-off.
So
It's a personal
it's a
trade-off.
trolley problem.
Yeah, it is a trolley problem, and it's yeah, and so it's a personal trade off for him as well. It's not just like, oh, I can have this happen to whoever. It's like, no, it's gonna happen to your mom. Like,
Right.
yeah, and so yeah, so I think he
May
yeah.
come off as a little trite, but we're doing this in 22 minutes. So,
Yeah, okay. So I don't know. I think it's pretty good. How do you feel about it?
how do I feel about it? I would not want to write it, but not because I don't like the idea. Let me get that straight.
Mhm.
Not because I don't like the idea, but because I would suffer. I would have trouble writing steampunk properly for the people who enjoy steampunk, and that's one of the considerations that we often factor in when I, as a professional writer, not only is it the story do I want to tell, but I have to be a little mercenary about it. Is it a story I can tell?
Yeah.
Do I have anything to say in that story? And I wouldn't have anything to say in this story. My exploration here would end up being the sick mom being supportive and the triangle of the trolley problem. That I would enjoy writing because it's nice and juicy.
Yes.
But the setting for me, I don't have anything I could explore in it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I think the antiques part, I really love like magical and like tech items. I would have a ton of fun with that in the black market scene.
Yep.
That's like what I'm like most excited. The undercover in the black market. But I would also struggle with the steampunk aspect because I'm not really I'm not honestly much of a visual person, which is like may or may not be surprising to people. But like when I read and when I write, I don't really I don't drive as much with the visuals. I can't picture things that well.
Which this segues really well into what we'll be doing next. Next, we'll be working this way. And so if we had done that with this one, if we had started with the character conflict and the distinctive elements when we went into setting, I would be working to make these part of the setting as opposed to the other direction.
Yeah.
So you're right when you talked about the antiques. I would enjoy writing this part of it, and I would enjoy plotting and writing this part of it. It would just need to be in a slightly different setting.
Okay. So yeah, we'll try for so even though this ended up being like science fantasy, we're gonna try for a sci-fi in the next one. I think we might do like a soft sci-fi, like a contemporary sci-fi kind of thing.
Oh, is it like a space, like a space opera sci-fi?
Well, that's not soft sci-fi.
You'll find out coming up. You'll find out coming up in a minute.
Okay. Yes. Okay, are we ready for round 2?
We're ready for round 2.
Okay, great. I also feel like we're like the characters from the Cowboy Bebop intro, where they were like, we're like, howdy guys, and then there's like, I don't know if you've seen
I take it back. I want you to clip that. And I want to see this.
Okay. So now we're gonna do our concept for the sci-fi book. Although even though we had this quasi sci-fi one for the previous, but yeah, we need to do it in reverse. So we're gonna start on the right to left.
Okay, so number 1, character conflict. What's the first question of the character conflict?
So who's the main character?
Who's the main? Me.
You are the main character.
I'm the main character in this. No. Oh.
We're done. You're the main character.
It's on the card. You can't.
It's on the card. Yes.
No. No, you don't want that character. You don't want a character. Don't make a poo-poo face.
We're trying to do this faster.
Okay, we're doing this faster because we did take time on that.
Yeah, we're
okay.
Good job. Okay, we're like those podcasters that talk for like 45 minutes
about
before
nothing. Although we did a good job. Okay, we didn't.
Okay.
The expressions, anything to say.
Okay, so yeah, main character, and then main character element creates conflict for them, which we may or may not be able to.
You had recently said that you was it the young adult didn't what genre didn't have enough female leads in it?
Oh, you mean or male leads or female leads? Because yeah,
maybe it was male leads.
Yeah, there's male leads. I think in more so in like YA fantasy, like the modern stuff. But I don't know.
Isekai.
Isekai. Oh, that has a lot of male leads actually.
That's what means the female leads. Right.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's not enough female leads. What if our character is sucked into a computer world?
Okay, yes, I do. You know how much I like that trope. I like it too much.
She's literally vibrating. She likes it so much.
Okay.
All right.
Who are there? They usually in like anime they're like students or something. But like, so is there somebody specific? I think things have been done. I think there's like people with illnesses have been done, terminal illnesses.
All right.
I'm trying to remember.
Okay, but we're settled. It's going to be a girl this time.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So we know that, and then, so it's but yeah, is it a young woman or who else hasn't been? Well, see, I don't know. We did like an older woman, like an old woman in an isekai would actually be very fun.
A grandma in the isekai. Okay, all right. Okay. Grandma isekai.
Yes.
Okay, we've got. It just writes itself to quote you from the other.
Yes. Okay.
Grandma isekai. Are we talking hot grandma like Don the Don or what are we doing?
Well, like I don't know, like Meryl Streep. I don't know.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's
Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep in the sucked into Minecraft.
Oh
Okay,
my God,
so
what about it? So yeah, and it's what do they want, and how is that
what
goal
do
or
they
desire
want?
specific to the world? So
Okay, well the first question I asked is, do they want to get out or do they want to stay in before we even do that?
well, I think that like I think for her, and I think for a lot of people that are like getting up in years that they feel like a little forgotten about, like
Oh,
that's a pretty common.
interesting. That's an angle.
Yes. So, and I think that like if she's thinking, if she's
It's
in
a
this world and she's trying to, well, maybe she like accidentally went in there because her grandkids play, and then so she like went and did it, but then she doesn't know all the controls, so she sort of like somehow presses enough stuff to get stuck in there, and then but then now that she wants to like be the she wants to be the hero or to do something to
Hmm,
be like she wants to show that she's still got it.
still got it.
Yeah.
Well, for one thing, if you could be any avatar, she could still have it.
Oh my
But
God. No. No, but she's
but
also I think she's
here's
also
another
somebody who's
here's an
she's
interesting.
proud of her she's proud of her age. She keeps
They're
her
not on your side.
she keeps her silver hair. She upends the patriarchy. Okay.
This is just becoming straight wish fulfillment for you right now.
Oh,
um, here,
okay,
let
okay,
me throw a
yeah.
little monkey wrench in here for a second. What if it's not a video game?
Mhm.
What if it's some kind of memory enhancing something to help somebody whose memory has been slipping, and she's protested again and again and again. My memory isn't slipping. You're putting me in this thing, this contraption, and that's what sucks her into the other world.
Okay.
So it builds the world based on her old memories
Ooh.
and fantasies and what have
Okay,
you.
okay, yeah. That's oh yeah, and I think that's interesting because the fantasies allows you to do more like the alternate. We're doing the alternate reality where she
Alternate
gets to
reality.
live the different because like once you're like an older age and you're
Uh,
like reflecting on your life and
what if
your
I'd done
mistakes
this?
and
What if
choices,
I'd
what
done
you
that?
didn't do, what
Okay.
you did do.
Okay.
And you're getting and we're getting sort of in the realm of like it's a
Midnight
wonderful
Library.
life. Yeah, Midnight Library.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Okay, so this is like we're almost going towards distinctive setting, like and I say in the video you can do these in any order, and
Mm.
this is usually how it happens for me, where it's like it's like everything. You're like, I want to do this, and then you're like, you're touching on everything, so you don't really need to do it sequentially. So I think that we can say,
Mm.
we're gonna use
We often wonder when we watch Diane's videos here at the office, we often wonder how she keeps her personality from
like crazy eyes.
exploding through her.
No, I actually I do I very, very deliberately try to talk slower in my videos. I still have some people say I talk too fast. That is like half my normal talking speed, so I do not understand how I could be talking any slower. But
Okay, so you're just putting that under distinctive element, or
yeah, I think so. So I think we'll do that as like how does that make it fresh and so like I think yeah, well, that we never get tired of alternate lives thing. So I think it's like,
okay,
so it's
alternate
like so
memory.
enhancing
So on this is distinctive element. So is this one, two, or three in the distinctive element,
so I think it's like it
or is
doesn't
this?
necessarily matter. I think it's more we're gonna go with it's passionate about because it's like the alternate lives, and I think the fresh and interesting. So I think it's both of those. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do like exploring alternate
Uh,
lives
excellent.
is the thing that both of us really like.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I do love exploring alternate lives. I mean, we just mentioned earlier in this video. I just mentioned earlier in this video the sliding doors thing.
yes,
Excellent.
yeah, and I like that it's also fantasies and what ifs, and you get some fun moments for comedy with that too.
Yeah.
So, if there's some celebrity guy that she really likes and like he's like in
Oh,
the world,
oh my. All right. So back to character creation. We had we did the who's the main character. So what does she want?
um,
What does
yeah,
she
like
want, and okay. How is that goal or desire specific to the world? Are we? I mean,
hold on.
you're just. Oh Lord, I wonder if somebody's going to get assigned to write this.
Yes.
Hmm. Okay.
So I'm saying that like so I'm adding to the distinctive element. So we're kind of finishing up that section first. So because I think you're right. Like the beginning is like the grandkids or her kids, her daughter or whatever is like you've been losing your memory. There's a bit of the dementia there.
Or
Um,
they're trying to get the estate, the money, whatever. So
oh, that's possible.
they're
Yeah,
making her go through these tests so
yeah,
that she can stay living at her house
yeah.
that they want or what have you.
That could be something. Yes, I think there's that there's the good or the bad angle. I mean, I'm leaning more towards like the non-conspiracy. So she has like a good like fuzzy relationship with her kids, but that's improved after she goes through this whole
Okay.
Jumanji kind of journey. I don't know. And then like I know it's like reverse, but like so basically, so her grandkids are like, oh yeah, you have to use it. Go use it. You know, doctor said this will help your memory. And then she basically tries to sabotage the machine, and then she accidentally gets trapped in there because
Okay.
she's like, I don't want to use this. I don't need this. And then
And
like,
bam.
and then yeah, and then she gets trapped in it.
Okay.
Because she wants to set it up, and then yeah, so memory.
So that is
VRAR. So that's
what
kind of
she wants.
goes wrong. Yeah, and then what she wants is, I think she wants to be respected,
Oh.
or she wants, or I don't know, because I think the idea of regret.
Yeah. Oh, I was
Is that
about to say.
wrong?
I was about to say she wants to be free of regrets.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Well, yeah. The reason she's saying it's really good is because she said it a split second before me. They had the same idea.
Great idea, fantastic idea, the best
It's
I've ever
it's
had.
my idea. You
Uh,
just said it for me. All right.
okay,
Excellent.
and then
Okay.
okay,
So
yeah. So then how? Like so this is a kind of like doing it in reverse. It's like how does the since we have done the distinctive element, you know, accidentally, then how does that play into what they want, and how does the element impact the character? So like I guess like so what memories or fantasies or what like if we're trying to think of specific ones, what would come into play?
well, there would be the comedy one. So there would
Yeah.
be the superstar boyfriend. Um, there'd be the tragic one. What if I never had my daughter?
Yes.
Uh, there'd be the wish fulfillment. What if I won the whatever? Or
Yeah, and I mean, so maybe you're thinking a little bit more about her. Like, what was she?
okay,
What was her career? Was she
okay,
like? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting back into horses again for some reason. But what if she was like a horse rider? No, okay, and she wanted to have a career, and then she broke her back. No, okay. I'm trying to think of like, yeah, what was so yeah, what if there was something like, you know, there's often people that are swimmers or tennis players. Like
hmm,
she could have been a famous athlete, but when she was younger, it like, you know, she heard it and then it went this whole different trajectory, right?
okay,
Like, and that's also, I think relates to the idea of like the body and like, you know, in older age, like your body is also getting like, you know, frailer in some ways.
interesting.
And then also I think that's very hard to deal with at any age. Like, you know, when you're younger and you're experiencing
Okay.
that. So like, I'm trying to think of, yeah,
So how does this
what's
distinctive element play into the want, and
so
how
I
does
think
the
she could
element
have
impact
been,
this character in a significant way?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So like I think something so a time when she was very strong, but then she got injured, which is very this is very Midnight Library in some ways. So I don't know what does it matter with sport? I don't know, but like she was an Olympic athlete of some kind. Um,
Yeah. Or she just played the cello. I don't know.
yeah, that's true. Olympic athlete or cellist. Okay. Because yeah, you're a cellist and then you break your hand doing
And
something.
you can't do it anymore. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's good. So there's that. Yes, Midnight Library is a great comp, and
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life is a great comp. Um, okay, so that's very good. Sorry. Let me see. And then what does the character need to learn?
Okay.
And what did they change about the world, or how does the world building change them? And I think it's probably more the world building changing her, but yeah, like
Well,
what?
the what does she need to learn if she wants to be free of regret?
Hmm.
Um, she's wouldn't that tie into
Yeah.
the learning? Wouldn't that tie into something to do with the regret?
Yes. And I think like maybe it's something about coping with regret because I mean like I think the hard thing sometimes with character journeys and stuff like there's a good balance between there are a lot of universal truths, right? Like love wins and friendship is important, etc. And I think it's like those are good things to touch on because they're universal, they're evergreen. But I also think that sometimes there needs to be like an additional like flavor to an additional like insight. So like thinking about like what is like a way that she discovers for herself at least to combat regret or to like what helps her
Okay.
because of who she is. You know, it might not help us, but it could help somebody like her.
Okay. Hmm.
And then, like, I guess we also think of that in an external sense. So, like, what sort of choice might she have to face in the end to, like, you know, I guess she could be like, she could stay in, have the option to stay in the world with her dream life. Like,
Right.
she's living her dream life. And then she's like, well, now it's fixed and I can go back home. Or do I just want to stay
Well,
in memory?
in the
Or,
real world, I would have the daughter who had been doing this not because grandma was I would go back to where you talked about where it's fuzzy, the relationship's fuzzy instead of directly negative.
Hmm.
But the daughter having been there at the hospital the whole time, and then holding her hand and her realizing through the able to hear her daughter talking to her
Yeah.
and realize that there is no regret in the life she lived because it gave her
Hmm.
her daughter.
Yeah, so I think that's I can see how like the daughter might like her speaking to her might manifest
Mm,
in the whatever like AR world, like where she's not it might be the characters that aren't her daughter but they talk like her daughter and
yeah.
like so it's like her talking.
Or the menu
Yeah. Or
as she's going between
yeah.
possible
Yeah.
lives that she lived.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah. Yeah. And then we can do the Inception ending where you don't know if she's still living in the game or she's
no,
living in the
no,
real
no,
life.
no,
Now everybody's
no,
gonna assume that.
no. Absolutely not. It drove me
Okay,
nuts.
okay, but
It wobbled. It wobbled. At
listen,
the end, the top
there's
wobbled.
2 different endings, actually. They show people different screenings had different ones, so
That's a damn dirty lie. You
not
take it back,
spoilers.
right?
Oh, yeah, but anyway, okay,
Right now.
but yeah, but
Okay.
what ending I guess, like, yeah, I guess thinking about the ending scene, that might be about okay, like, it's me, like, I guess
What
we
does the
could do the
character
thing.
need to learn? They need to learn that there was nothing to regret in their life. Is what they need to learn.
Yeah,
If
I
she wants to
guess
be
so.
free of
I
regret,
don't
then
think that's how life works, though. I don't think
it's not life.
it's not trying to get rid of regret. It's trying to, like it's almost like trying to choose your regrets, right? Like, you
Oh,
know
that's interesting.
yeah, so I think it's like
Hmm.
yeah, so because I think it's every path you take is gonna be a path that you did not take.
Right.
And then so you have to be happy with like, I can see the different, I can't optimize my happiness or something. Like there's always one thing is gonna be at the expense of another thing, and I have to be like, well, I'm glad I took this despite these other things because, I'm happy with
Okay.
that. Yeah, so I guess maybe something like that.
Choose your regret.
Yeah. So yeah, we can go with that. And then now we got to flesh out our world building a bit more.
All right. Well, obviously, it's sci-fi enough that it has this kind of technology where you can be in somebody's head.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I guess is it like a headset? Is it a pill? Like, what is or how? I guess it would have to be tech because
Yeah,
she
I
would
would
get
want
stuck in
tech.
it.
I would want tech on
Yeah,
this
and
one.
then so like, how does she use it? Like, what does it visually look like? Like, is it like like a headset? Is it
Or are we talking about the physical? You're talking about the visual look of the
the
technology, or the
yes?
visual look that she sees when she's in the
Um,
technology?
I think in the technology it should look as realistic as possible, so it feels like a real world,
Okay.
And then, but I think that I'm thinking the actual tech, like when she's in the real world and she's about to use it, like especially in that first scene, like what is it a big computer? Is it, you know,
There was a yeah. I would say probably a big computer with all kinds of diodes and things to her
yeah,
brain, and
okay, okay,
or I hate to do it because there was a movie about it, but you know what the water tanks that you sit in, the deprivation machine,
oh yeah, yes,
if it was something like that, is that you're in a tank like that when you're first.
yeah, we can
It's
do
a
that.
combination of a pill, a tank, and a machine electronics hooked up to you. And when she's fighting it, she electrifies herself inside the
Ooh,
machine a
yeah,
little.
okay, yeah, that works. Yeah, and that also is like kind of her resistance to using it is that there's so much. It's like kind of a hassle and kind of
Well,
uncomfortable.
if you wanted to shoot it forward again, she was an Olympic swimmer. She drowned at one point, got bad pneumonia, lost out, and
Mm.
so having to go into a sensory deprivation tank. She
Yeah,
doesn't not that she doesn't want to go into because she's afraid with her mind. I will not be in water.
that's
She
great.
never took a bath again in her life. Never swam
Yeah.
again in her life.
That's actually really great because I think it's a way for you to tell that backstory without having to like,
Yeah.
just shoehorn it in. It's just like natural part of her reaction to the thing. I really like that. Yeah, that's great. We'll go with that, and then
And then,
let me see.
what
I
level
think
of technological advancement?
yeah. So we have it as like so it's and the level. There's no magic here, so
Yeah,
either
sci-fi
So yeah. So it's I'm gonna
coming
say
soon.
no. No magic, soft sci-fi,
Soft sci-fi.
and
Yeah.
then yeah, technological. I guess is there any other technological advancements other than this that are related, like things that are used for other purposes? Are we living in a Ready Player One kind of world, or not really? Or is this like, I think maybe we could also try to think of, maybe this is probably also cliche. It's like thinking of a specific company that produces this technology, and
Oh.
And they have like maybe other things that they do, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, because I think it's soft sci-fi in the sense of like I'm thinking it's near future and like we don't really care how the tech works, it's just like what it does.
Yeah. And I
Um,
think this is one of those times where the setting isn't nearly as important.
yeah, yeah, I think that's true. But yeah, so like I think it's like,
Soft sci-fi is, I think, perfectly fine.
and then I think we have a
Near
near
future.
future, and then we have a tech company that is kind of patenting this technology. I was gonna see if we could think of a name for it, but it's too much work. Memory something, like they probably spell like memory with like two E's or something. Okay. So our last thing is key scenes, like so specific scene level settings in her memory.
Mnemonic one. Mnemonic one.
What is that?
Mnemonic one would be the name of the.
Oh, mnemonic one.
Yes.
What's that?
Johnny Mnemonic. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Go ahead.
Okay.
It's
Well,
very cyberpunkish.
wow. Something I haven't heard of.
Yeah.
Okay. So as key level scene level settings, like I think.
Well, the scene level setting is definitely going to be the building, the office where the sensory deprivation tank is in. It's going to be a scene level setting. But then we also have, if she is exploring fantasies of what her life could have been,
Mhm.
some of these could be extreme and not necessarily realistic.
Yeah,
So
I think that's true.
it could be a Lord of the Rings type location.
Yeah, there could be some of that. I think like I'm interested in the idea that
It's a
even the
swimming pool that
fantasy
she has to
setting.
jump into.
Yes, but even the fantasy setting, I'm gonna think it uses the shell of an actual place, like a small town she grew up. Like so there's like I grew up in like kind of a
Interesting.
suburb with like an uptown and stuff. And say like every setting has that, it can like have a new mask over it, but it uses the same like base
Yeah, there you
like
go.
thing. So they basically use they I mean it's too much into the tech, but like if they use like GPS things and like all those cameras
Uh,
and they mapped it and then they could just use it as a shell and then they just put over like a new
yeah,
skin over it.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Excellent.
so that's fun.
The exit,
So
the exit is at the bottom of the swimming pool.
oh gosh, oh that's great. Yeah, I love that. And this is also getting us like a little bit of Truman Show esqueness.
Once again, as we said earlier,
Which I love that movie. Yeah.
yeah, there's going to be mashups of material, and there are no new ideas. But it also could be a very big positive as well. Earlier, Diane talked about comps, and if you're going to get traditionally published, boy, oh boy, well, even as a self-publisher like us, you still need to know comps because people are like, well, what's this book sort of like? Being able to tell them, well, it's sort of like Midnight Library meets The Truman Show,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah, exactly that.
it's something you will need.
And it's interesting because I think that the characters that she interacts with are really like her memory of them, and like are they? Is it really them, or is it like a composite of her memory? And I think that we're gonna meet some of them in the first chapter, like the daughter.
If this has been going on long enough, you could even say anybody who has gone through this,
Mhm.
it isn't her memory of them, it is a copy made by the computer. So it's going to react even more. So people
Yeah.
who've never done this are what she imagines to be,
Mhm.
but the people who have done it. So maybe the daughter,
Yes.
if it's, I would probably do two POVs so that we see the daughter, what's going on outside the scene, and then her daughter goes into it to try to,
Yeah.
because it will no longer be the concept of her daughter.
Mhm.
It'll be a copy of her daughter.
Yeah, and I think that would be interesting because you get to like see the difference between that.
Her
And
version of what her daughter is and what her daughter actually is.
yeah, and I think that's what AI is kind of becoming that, and gathering information about people from all their social media. Like it can do an accurate representation of the celebrity crush that she has because there's all this information about them.
Yeah.
It compiles all the interviews he's ever done. It implies like everything he's ever like posted, it gets put into that.
So like real world.
Yes, exactly. That's it. So this is very cool. I feel like this is something that I would write. Like
Okay.
what about you? What do you think?
What I would enjoy writing this one as well, mainly because the exploration of the relationship between the grandma and the daughter. And then of course I'm at an age now where I have regrets that I've had friends pass away who were younger than me, and I took a vacation not too long ago where I just left. I sort of turned everything off and left. And what I was doing was I was exploring in my own way what
Mhm.
regrets do I have, and can I be free of them? And I came back from it with an understanding a little bit better about myself, but not completely. I'm still trapped in my own personal isekai of, was I right to do what I've done to bring me to this place?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to ask me right now, having to suffer with you in the office, I would say no. I am full of all kinds of regrets. But I do not regret this. This is a fantastic little story. I hope somebody does
I know.
write
I know.
this.
If I could write faster, I would do that. I'm so slow. That would take me 10,000 years, but yeah.
10,000 years. You'd have that time in this.
Yeah, I really would. Yeah, we would. It would be invented by then. But yeah,
All
thank
right.
you all.
So did we do a good
I
job?
think we did a pretty good job.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I mean,
excellent.
congratulations if you made it to the end. Like comment in the bottom, like just comment Portal Fantasy, and then I'll be like, wow,
You did
you've
make it to
done it.
the
You've done it to the end. I don't. I guess I should have made it like banana or something, so they would just comment banana.
banana.
Yeah, so that's why I know for sure that they made it to the
But
very
then
end.
Chiquita might demonetize us,
They
and I don't.
might,
Wait,
yeah.
we didn't even monetize, so I don't even know why I said that.
Oh,
Okay. Well, thank you for coming to this video
mhm.
presented by me, Diane Callahan, and this is Jordan Riley's. Wait,
No.
backwards.
And
So, thank you for coming to the video. I'm Jordan Riley Swan.
I'm Diane Callahan, aka quotidian writer.
And
Whatever you do, keep writing.
nice.